March 5th, 2001. Do you know what that day was? It was the day that Conker's Bad Fur Day was released to the general public. What a day that was. 12 years ago today, Rare released a game unlike any other, a game that many thought could never be made, and a game that would end the legacy of a once great company. And today I am going to honor this game's legacy in the best way possible. With a bunch of stupid trivia, because that hasn't been done before. Ain't I original? Sorry about that. I had no idea where that came from. Let's just get on with the trivia, shall we? Did you know in Conker's Bad Fur Day, Conker has a variety of idle animations? One of these idle animations is of him playing Killer Instinct on the Game Boy Color. But what's interesting about this is that the music playing in the background is an 8-bit rendition of Jago's theme from Killer Instinct 2. Take a listen. In Live and Reloaded, you can hear various other songs from Killer Instinct's soundtrack when Conker plays. Some of Conker's other idle animations include juggling, reading indecent magazines, whistling along to the overworld theme, and talking to the player. One of these conversations is of him insisting that the player stops doing something, otherwise they'll go blind. It doesn't take long to figure out what that thing is, if you're of the appropriate age group, that is. While Bad Fur Day's release is rather miraculous, there were still a couple of jokes and cutscenes that didn't make it into the final product of the game. One of these jokes was at the expense of Pokemon, which at the time was super popular in North America, even more so than today. I've heard multiple variations of what the joke was supposed to be about, including one of Conker beating Pikachu to death with a baseball bat. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one, but what I do know is that Pikachu's tail is in the game's code, as well as this dialogue from Don Weezo. Listen carefully.
Hang on a second. Come here, you little bastard. Come here. Missed. Come here. Gotta wait again. Sorry about that. But you know how it is. You gotta catch 'em all.
In September of 2012, a video was uploaded to YouTube that showed 30 minutes of gameplay from 12 Tales Conker 64, the prototype to Conker's Bad Fur Day. After analyzing the footage a bit, you can see that the game borrows heavily from Conker's Pocket Tales, a Conker game for the Game Boy Color, and a lot of this content was actually reworked into Conker's Bad Fur Day. Much of the music from Pocket Tales was reused in 12 Tales. Take a listen to this, see if it sounds familiar to you. Stuff that was carried on over into Bad Fur Day include the overworld, the windmill, this pond with exotic fish which I assume would become the entrance to the Bats Tower, this scarecrow, Conker's slingshot, and these cute little dancing sunflowers over here. Although this is the only place in the entire game where you'll see them. In 12 Tales, they're everywhere. The music that plays when Conker whizzes on the fire imps also originated from Pocket Tales, and the intro to the song can also be heard when you enter the It's War chapter. Again, take a listen. Out of all of the characters in the Conker franchise, probably the most interesting is Professor Von Cripplespack, the Panther King's assistant throughout most of Bad Fur Day. It's said that he lost his legs in the war between the Weasels and the Squirrels, who made an alliance with the Panthers. The Panther King then defeated the Weasel King, chopped off both his legs, and then betrayed the Squirrels and took over all the land. This was actually briefly touched upon by Count Conchula in the spooky chapter of the game. However, Conker Live and Reloaded tells a different story, saying that Von Cripplespack was an evil dictator 700 years ago, and was hell-bent on eliminating the squirrel race, and he created the Teddies to aid him in his mission. His hatred of squirrels would explain why he chose to use Conker as the fourth leg for the Panther King's table. It's still a rather silly conclusion, but it makes a little more sense as to why he'd resort to a squirrel of all things. Live and Reloaded also shows that the professor lost his legs from enemy attack in the war, which blew them clean off in a rather hilariously disgusting fashion. And remember near the end of Bad Fur Day where the professor got sucked into space? Well, Live and Reloaded also states that Cripplespack was saved from suffocating, and 200 years later, he waged a new war against King Conker, and after everything was said and done, the victor of this fight is unknown, and what happened to Cripplespack is a mystery to this very day. Shortly after Bad Fur Day's release, Rare began work on the sequel, titled Conker's Other Bad Day. But thanks to an unfortunate buyout in 2002, the game was never finished and the project was eventually cancelled. But in multiple interviews with Chris Seaver, the project leader for Conker's Bad Fur Day, he's talked about what the game could have been, and I will read what he said in the voice of Conker in one of his more recent interviews. As for what happened to Conker in Conker's Other Bad Day, well, he became emperor of the known universe, got a new girlfriend, and lost an old one. Again. There was also a massive space poo, and he was going to be the main baddie. Lots of other stuff happened, with new characters appearing and old faves returning. We got to find out about Greg's childhood and why he hated cats. There were tons of parodies of the more contemporary movies, and an evil doppelganger version of Conker that you got to play for a while. Oh, and Birdie died. That kind of stuff. And as with the original, it would have ended on a bittersweet note. The developers also made some sketches of the first level of the game. Did you know that Birdie the Scarecrow is actually based off of a Rareware programmer who was nicknamed Beardy? This is why Conker initially thinks that Birdie's name was Beardy in the beginning of the game. Apparently, Beardy really likes to drink Pepsi Max, which was actually referenced in the game, although it was called Mepsi Packs, presumably to avoid copyright issues. Conker's Bad Fur Day has a variety of cheat codes that you can enter to unlock secret characters in the multiplayer mode. Many, if not all of the names of the cheat codes are actually British slang terms for genitalia and sexual positions. Well, what did you expect from Conker? Flowers and... oh wait, never mind. And finally, in the final boss fight with Heinrich the Alien, when you hit his jaw, he actually makes the exact same noises as Fulgore does from Killer Instinct. Well, that's all for today, guys, but if I find more trivia for a game that I think is interesting, I'll be back with another episode. And if you want to see more trivia-related videos, check out DYKGaming and Nintendo Fan for the Win's Pokemon Weird Facts and Trivia. See how nice I am? I'm promoting guys who are 1,000 times more popular than me. Make sure to check out my other videos and don't forget to do the things that every video tells you to do. Also, I finally have a Facebook, so go there too. But don't annoy me. Please.